Terrible things like 3 months ago.
The Washington Post, Dan Balch wrote, what was unthinkable a few months ago no longer is. Trump's durability in national polls and his standing in the early states have forced GOP leaders to confront the possibility that the New York billionaire and reality TV star could end up leading the party into the fall campaign against the Democrats. And Rich Lowry, who's editor of the National Review, tweeted this week, from my conversations, GOP establishment mood on Trump is moving from fear and loathing to resignation and rationalization, i.e., he'd run better than Cruz and slam Hillary. Meanwhile, an NBC News Wall Street Journal poll found a major shift among Republican voters. 65% now say they could see themselves supporting Donald Trump. That's up from 32% in June when he first announced his run. Susan Page is Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today, and Jonathan Capehart is an opinion writer for the Washington Post as well as an MSNBC political analyst. Susan, your view, your paper is quite broad in its readership, and USA Today is everywhere. And my question is it your sense as a bureau chief that this is all true, that somehow Trump is now plausible?
Yes. I think he's not just plausible, he's undeniable. He's undeniably a credible prospect for the Republican nomination, although it's not in hand yet. And I think what Republicans are trying to figure out is how can they negotiate a world in which that's the case. It's a special concern, I think, to Republicans running for swing Senate seats in purple states, and also in that handful of competitive House races where having Donald Trump at the top of your ticket could really affect your prospects down the ballot.
Well, is there anything they can do about it? I mean, they can say they can wring their hands and say, oh, gee whiz, this guy's going to be our nominee. But at this point, they've tried to stop him already. They've thrown Jeb Bush at him. They've thrown Rubio at him. They've thrown Kasich at him. And perhaps Christie are all fighting for the old establishment. And they're not doing too well.
It's not that they can stop him, but they can run independent campaigns. They can figure out ways to try to present themselves as the Republican nominee and minimize their ties to the Trump ticket.
Look, the problem that they have, I think Rich Lowry is right, that the establishment has gone to just sort of resignation and rationalization. What we saw on that stage last night at the debate was a front runner who faced his most hostile Republican audience we have seen. He was booed, he was
cheered. 6 out of 7 of people in the audience were working for the other candidate.
Well, right, but get this. Every time they booed, you watched it with your own eyes. He worked, Donald Trump worked very hard to turn those boos into cheers and or laughter. He succeeded every time. And that is what the Republican establishment has to worry about. Not only a candidate who has the ability to grab the hearts of people who don't even like him, but someone who could actually then turn that into votes that then gets him the nomination.
Yeah, is that character, or what is that? Is it show business? What gives you the ability to withstand that assault from the audience and from your opponents?
Well, as Susan just said, it's skill. This is someone who has been in our living rooms on television, reality television, for about a decade now.
But he's the boss of those shows.
But then also, you can't underestimate what it means to be a public figure in the media capital of the world, New York City, where you have tabloid newspapers gunning for you every day. The New York Post, the New York Daily News, at one point New York Newsday. And in that environment, unlike any other environment in the country, you learn how to work the media, play the media, be friends with the media, be enemies with the media, and on a presidential scale, that's incredible training.
Well, to go back to that, on Thursday's Republican debate in South Carolina, last night, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz clashed over Cruz's use of the phrase, boy, what a mistake this was, I think, New York values, to attack Trump. And Trump called that insulting.
He insulted a lot of people. I've had more calls on that statement that Ted made. That New York is a great place. It's got great people. It's got loving people, wonderful people. When the World Trade Center came down, I saw something that no place on earth could have handled more beautifully, more humanely than New York. We rebuilt downtown Manhattan, and everybody in the world watched, and everybody in the world loved New York and loved New Yorkers. And I have to tell you, that was a very insulting statement that Ted made.
Wow. Well, in this morning's interview with Joe Scarborough, Trump continued to slam Cruz on that front.
I thought Cruz hurt himself last night very badly because he looked very strident. To me, I see he gave him a B+, but I think you're wrong about that because I think people are not going to like him based on that performance last night.
What grade would you give
like him. He gave up about 20 million votes last night.
Well, Trump got support from some surprising sources. The liberal New York Daily News ran this front page, which of course may be a bit offensive to some viewers, so be careful with looking at it. Don't look too carefully. Drop dead, Ted. Hey, Cruz, you don't like New York values? Get back to Canada. I love voicing the New York Daily News front page. Is that Hillary Clinton tweeted, just this once, Trump's right. New Yorkers value hard work, diversity, tolerance, resilience, and building better lives for our families. Meanwhile, one of Ted Cruz's main supporters, Congressman Steve King of Iowa, out in Iowa, this is the guy who talks about cantaloupe legs on immigrants, said Cruz lost the fight on New York values. Here's Congressman King.
I didn't think he went too far until I saw Donald Trump's reaction. And then I thought it would have been better on the part of Ted Cruz not to have had that exchange. He really flipped that. Ted Cruz didn't go there, but Donald Trump elected to go into the September 11th and the damage and the suffering and the thousands of people that were killed. And he turned that into an emotional component of the debate. And that, I believe, was good for Trump.
You know, I was thinking, waiting for Trump to do what I would have done and have done up there for speeches, is talk about the firefighters. There's 225 of them dead, and they were walking up those stairs when everybody else was coming down, and that was beyond heroic. And to make fun of a city for a lack of values, you better be specific about it. You can't just do the old Gene Kirkpatrick trick of saying San Francisco Democrats, gay, 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 you know, that old game, or Sodom and Gomorrah in New York City, because New York City is made up of about 99% of people who grew up there like they grew up anywhere else. They didn't go there because they were show business, bold print names, you know. They just people who grew up in a neighborhood, the big thing, to judge them on their values is insane.
As a New Yorker by adoption, living there 16 years before moving to Washington, what Donald Trump said in that answer resonated with me as someone who was in New York City on 9/11. And the beauty of what he did there, Donald Trump, for the first time, looked like a statesman. He didn't target anybody. He stood up for an entire city of people, that polyglot that's up there in New York. And I agree with Congressman King, I can't believe it, that Donald Trump won decisively the debate on that answer.
Well, let's go to another debate, which is going to be a lot more conflicting here. The other big clash between the front runners at the debate last night was over the issue of Cruz's constitutional eligibility to be president, an issue Trump has been hammering away for about a week.
I recognize that Donald is dismayed that his poll numbers are falling in Iowa. But the facts and the law here are really quite clear. Under long-standing U.S. law, the child of a U.S. citizen born abroad is a natural-born citizen.
And for some reason, Neil, he beats the rest of the field. I already know the Democrats are going to be bringing a suit. You have a big lawsuit over your head while you're running, and if you become the nominee, who the hell knows if you can even serve in office?
Mary Bridget McManaman is a constitutional law professor at Widener University Delaware Law School. Professor, so I guess the question's to you. You're on tonight. Who's right? Is natural born, does it mean when it seems to mean you have to be born here?
Yes, it is. It's a very clear-cut question. So when Cruz says it's clear-cut, he's right, but he's wrong as to how it cuts. You have to be born in the United States.
Well, what are the issues that have come up before? For example, with John McCain being born in the Canal Zone. What would you make of that case?
Here's a totally different issue. The common law says that if you're born in the territory of the sovereign, so that territorial United States would be included. For example, Barry Goldwater wouldn't have had a problem even though he was born in the territory of Arizona, as it then was. McCain does have a problem in front of him, though, but I don't think it's insurmountable. In the early 20th century, when we acquired our territories after the Spanish-American War, Guam, the Canal Zone, the Philippines, the Supreme Court was asked, are the children born there now natural-born citizens? And in a series of horribly, embarrassingly racist opinions, the Supreme Court said no because, and I quote, the people there are alien races. Now, it seems to me that all McCain would have been able to do was to say that should be overruled and there would be no problem because he was born in the territory of the United States.
Do you think if this went before the Supreme Court, including the members like Antonin Scalia and Judge Alito and Judge Thomas, do you think they would go with original intent here or would go with this sort of practice thing of, like we let George Romney get away with it, at least for a while when he was running. He didn't run for long.
Yeah,
Will
he
they
dropped
be
out
tough
before
about
anything
this, or
happened.
would they be rigid about this and say, no, this is not what the founders intended?
I can't tell you that because although Scalia and Thomas especially are what they call originalists, they tend to cherry pick their history. So I'm not sure if they actually went with the real history, Cruz is not eligible. But I can't predict how they would go.
Okay, thank you so much, Mary Bridget McMenamin of Widener Law School. Aside from the legal question, there's new evidence that the attack has hurt Cruz politically. According to a Reuters Ipsos poll, 1/4 of Republican voters already now believe Cruz should be disqualified, given his Canadian birth. I'm back with Susan and John. I checked all the front pages today, all the leads. In every lead in the first paragraph, it has either the Canadian-born Cruz or a reference to this debate. This is not good for Cruz. In fact, he has to defend his qualifications to run, let alone get people to vote for him.
And of course, he was very smooth in defending himself, right? He's
Oh, yeah,
a very
he's all about
good
it.
debater. He uses a little humor. The problem is he's spending a lot